Bitcoin is probably rat poison squared. This is one of the most famous quotes that I can remember back in 2018 when I first started investing in Bitcoin. And this was made by investing legend Warren Buffett. So he has been a big time Bitcoin skeptic. And in this video, I'm going to show you why he's potentially changing his mind and having a change of heart on the topic. And if you're someone who's serious about including cryptocurrency in your overall wealth building strategy, go ahead and subscribe in the bottom right corner of your screen. In this video, we're going to talk about Buffett's new crypto-friendly investment, also get into some TA. We'll talk about El Salvador and why this is potentially the most bullish catalyst I've potentially ever seen for Bitcoin. I mean, it's up there, and it's really flying under the radar, at least as far as price is concerned right now. If that sounds good to you, make sure and hit that like button to help this video rank. There is a lot of competition as far as cryptocurrency YouTubers nowadays, and especially about Bitcoin itself. But if you like what we're doing here, then you can support the channel just by hitting that like button. But let's get into it. So Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway invests in a Bitcoin-friendly digital bank. So what is this all about? So Berkshire Hathaway has invested $500 million in the parent company of NuBank. This is a Brazil-based Bitcoin-friendly digital bank. Reuters noted that this new investment gives NuBank a $30 billion valuation, which is only slightly less than Banco Santander, Brazil, which is Brazil's number 3 bank. And NuBank is potentially planning a U.S. stock market listing as soon as this year. The pro-Bitcoin NuBank has repeatedly said it will be offering a Bitcoin investment to customers following the acquisition of Easy Invest, a brokerage firm that offers a Bitcoin exchange-traded fund. To me, I find it very interesting that this is located in Brazil, because I've been hearing rumblings on Twitter that Brazil may be the second country to begin accepting Bitcoin as legal tender after El Salvador. And if you haven't heard about that news, of course, we're going to talk about that a bit more at the end of this video. Of course, if Warren Buffett comes out and makes some sort of public statement about how he's changed his tune on Bitcoin, that's going to be really big news. Let me know in the comment section if you've heard anything further about this topic. This was my first time finding it, and I wanted to share it to you. But let's talk about Bitcoin in general. It's been, a very volatile week. In our last Bitcoin video, which was 1 week ago today, we were talking about this symmetrical triangle, and we were talking about potentially Bitcoin breaking down out of it, talking about price targets. Now, we did see a downwards breakout, and we did fall as low as $31,000, obviously, earlier this week. And by the way, we're looking at the 4-hour time frame right now. But one of the most interesting things was Bitcoin then decided to have a big turnaround, climb back into the pattern, and is now consolidating some more here. Now, if you see this other shape here, this rectangle, what I'm also kind of potentially looking at this as potentially is a descending parallel channel. And if I get rid of this descending channel just for a moment, right, I just want to show you the pattern that I'm looking at now that can be seen pretty easily on the 4-hour here. And this is kind of a pattern inside of a pattern, which I know sounds confusing, but chart patterns can play out really on any time frame. And this can be seen pretty clearly on the 4-hour. And this would be a head and shoulders, an inverse head and shoulders. The head being here, one shoulder being here, the second one potentially being formed right here. Now, this would or could potentially be a bullish pattern. And I just want to show you where the target would take us if we were to break out to the upside. So to break out to the upside, we would have to break above the neckline here. And that would potentially take us up to $43,900. Would we go that far? No. Probably not. I think we would probably bump our heads and hit resistance here around $41,000. You can see we had a lot of volume over here. That's when we initially dipped, and that would potentially be a significant level of resistance moving forward. So interesting pattern here to keep a look on. This would be, again, an inverse head and shoulders. But let's talk about the big picture here. And so there are a couple things that I'm still watching that I want to put on your radar, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm just bullish. Even though some of the news coming out that we've talked about is the charts are not behaving that way, which is a good sign and could really, honestly, be a great buy signal. You could be getting really good prices now, theoretically, because these catalysts are not showing up in the price. The other bad news about that is when catalysts don't move the markets, that's kind of more of a sign that The market's not really as healthy as it should be. All right. There's a lot of things that play into that. Also people talk about a lot of people manipulating the Bitcoin market. And at these price levels, Bitcoin is more easily manipulated. So there's a lot to be said for that. But what are we watching? What are the most important levels to watch right now? So there's a few things that I want to point out to you here. Number one, we're still potentially watching for a death cross. This green line here is the 50-day simple moving average. I mentioned this in my last video. Again, make sure to subscribe if you're not. I do regular Bitcoin updates on this channel, as well as tons of other projects and other types of videos. Right, and this is the 200-day moving average, simple moving average here. Now, when these lines cross, if these lines cross anyway, that would be a potential bearish sign. Now, the good news is Bitcoin is starting to consolidate and not dump quite as hard lately, and you can kind of see that starting to show itself in the 50-day simple moving average. So if Bitcoin has a good day like it did here, it doesn't automatically mean that this line is going to shoot straight up, because that is a culmination of 50 days and not just one day. So we have to watch to see if these two lines cross. If they do, we could see some more downside. And our downside targets that we've been talking about on this channel for some time here would be $29,000, basically $30,000. We saw that one time. Hasn't fallen that low since, but it's definitely still a possibility. If we break below that, $24,000. Now, some analysts are starting to talk to you guys about $10,000 Bitcoin. I don't think it's happening. Certainly not right now. And Bitcoin is showing a lot of strength at these levels. You notice how these have long wicks and Bitcoin is just bouncing out hard? That's good. That's showing you a lot of strength at the $30,000 level. Now, it remains to be seen if we can move higher. Where's the resistance if we move up? Well, the very first line, as you can see right here, is this downsloping line. And so at the moment, that is $37,800. But really, think to yourself, $38,000. That's really the level right now. If Bitcoin would break out past $38,000, then we could be talking about a true breakout here. You can see that's where I have my alert set, right? And then we could potentially be talking about moving up to some of those higher levels, seeing a breakout from this inverse head and shoulders, and challenging some of these levels here. Of course, $40,000 has still been significant. We hit that a few times over here. But really, if we can break 40, of course, we could make our way up to 41. Now, the good news, and this is something that I really want to show you, because if we can break past, let's say, $40,000, right about here, 40, 41,000. All right, we'd come to a place where we were moving back above the 200-day moving average, which would be a big deal. But what I really want to point out is the lower amounts of buying and selling, lower amounts of volume in between, let's say, $38,000 and really up until $46,000. So what's that mean? Basically, it means the price will be able to move freely. And if we break up through here, we should be able to break all the way back up to about, let's say, $46,000 pretty easily. And you could also see back over here that there's not too much price action happening in those particular regions. I want to put that on your radar. If it goes higher and we could break out past this 200-day moving average, or at least get to it, we can move up actually relatively quickly all the way to $46,000. So remember that moving forward. Next up, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about El Salvador. The president of El Salvador announced Wednesday that the country's state-run geothermal energy utility would begin using power derived from volcanoes for Bitcoin mining. The announcement on social media came just hours after the Central American Nations Congress voted to make the cryptocurrency an acceptable legal tender. And listen to this. El Salvador's new law makes Bitcoin legal tender, joining the US dollar as the only other official currency in the country. Okay, this is a huge deal. And in my last video, I was talking to you a little bit about Bitcoin on the treasuries of public companies. And that's a big deal. But what is as big, or really bigger, would be Bitcoin being accepted as legal tender. And also, about 70% of the country's population does not have access, we're talking about El Salvador obviously, does not have access to traditional financial services. So this is a country that is largely unbanked, as it would be called, right? And we've talked about on my channel in the past other cryptocurrencies looking to help the unbanked or be used for remittance purposes, like for instance, XRP. But really, and I hate to say this if you're an XRP bull, there's really no reason we need to use XRP. Yeah, it's faster. It is faster than Bitcoin. But Bitcoin could potentially do it. Anything that's decentralized can be used to send funds from one person to another, whether they have a bank account or they do not. So that's a really interesting choice here that they're choosing Bitcoin. And, I know a lot of people have a lot to say about Bitcoin, because it's the older coin. It's the boomer coin, right? It's the first cryptocurrency. But you know what? It's also going to be the one that benefits from the network effect. And that's what we keep seeing over and over. So I do believe that this market is definitely being manipulated a little bit. And if you are still with us, I want to ask you to smash that like button just to show support for the channel and help this thing rank. Aside from that, thanks for watching. Never invest more than you can afford to lose in cryptocurrency, and enjoy the ride. I'll see you guys in the next one.